welcome to MarketSquare, your go-to show for deep insights into business and economic trends. I'm Olaitan Adebayo, and today we are diving into key developments across Nigeria. Stay with us. Welcome back to MarketSquare. The Director General of the Budget Office of the Federation, Tanimnu Yakubu, says President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's foreign exchange reforms have repositioned the Naira as a tool for competitiveness rather than weakness. When the Tinubu administration dismantled Nigeria's rigid foreign exchange regime in 2024, the move was met with heavy criticism. The Naira plunged to 1,800 Naira per dollar by March 2024, sparking fears of economic collapse. Yet, behind the panic, a calculated adjustment was underway. By August 2025, the Naira had strengthened to 1,525 per dollar, gaining 15.28% in just 5 months. On an annual scale, that is nearly 49%. This shift was not by chance, it was a result of deliberate reforms, increased oil receipts, higher diaspora remittance, and the clearing of more than $4 billion in foreign exchange backlogs, helped restore investor confidence. Unification of Nigeria's multiple FX windows created a single transparent market, finally allowing the Naira to find its true value. The importance of this move goes beyond stabilizing numbers. A realistic exchange rate reshaped the dynamic of trade. Nigerian goods, once overpriced because of an artificially supported Naira, suddenly become competitive in global markets. Exports such as sesame seed, cocoa beans, and processed chocolates become cheaper abroad without farmers or manufacturers at home losing value in Naira terms. The impact was clear. Knowledge export grew from $2.696 billion in the first half of 2024 to $3.225 billion in the same period of 2025. That's a 19.62% year-on-year increase. Export volumes also rose, climbing from 3.83 million metric tons to 4.04 million metric tons. This shows foreign buyers were not just paying more for the same goods, they were demanding more products. A positive circle has taken root. For global buyers, Nigerian goods are now more affordable. For exporters, stronger earnings in Naira terms make reinvestment possible, driving value-added processing and creating jobs. For the wider economy, rising export revenues pump more foreign exchange into the system, which strengthens the Naira without undermining competitiveness. The cycle is self-sustaining. Foreign exchange reforms delivers a realistic Naira. A cheaper dollar price drives export growth. Export growth generates fresh inflows. These inflows stabilize the currency. A stable Naira attracts investment, and investment builds long-term growth. What critics once described as the collapse of the Naira has instead become the foundation of competitiveness. By choosing not to defend the currency with dwindling reserves and instead lessen market forces set its targets, the administration has repositioned the Naira as a tool for growth. If Nigeria maintains this course, the recovery of the Naira will not only be a story about exchange rate, it will mark the point where the nation turns its currency into a driver of competitiveness and a pillar for sustainable economic expansion. While foreign exchange reforms are reshaping Nigeria's trade outlook, energy pricing remains another key area of economic adjustment. The conversation is now shifting to compressed natural gas, where retail prices may soon rise to 520 Naira per standard cubic meter to ensure market sustainability. 2 years after the federal government launched its compressed natural gas program as an alternative to petrol and diesel, adoption remains sluggish despite clear cost advantages. At present, CNG retails between 230 Naira and 500 Naira per standard cubic meter compared to 830 to 880 per litre for petrol and over 1,000 Naira per litre for diesel. Even at the higher end of 500 Naira standard cubic meter, motorists spend significantly less to cover 100 kilometers than they would on liquid fuels. At the lower rate of 230 Naira standard cubic meter, the savings are even more substantial. Drivers and passengers who have switched report fuel cost reductions of more than 50% and lower fares on long-distance journey. However, they also highlight persistent challenges, fuel refueling stations, long queues, and inconvenient detours that undermine the full benefit of CNG use. Despite government incentives including free vehicles conversions for commercial drivers, distribution of hybrid buses, and the establishment of conversion centers, the pace of adoption has fallen short. By January 2025, only about 50,000 vehicles nationwide were operating on CNG, well below the target of 1 million by 2027. Infrastructure is a major constraint. Nigeria has just over 15 functional stations, with plans for 150 more by year-end. But most rely on truck supply rather than pipelines, driving up costs and creating bottlenecks. Industry analysts argue that CNG to achieve scale pricing must balance affordability with commercial viability. They suggest a benchmark around 520 naira per standard cubic meter to attract sustained private investment while still keeping it cheaper than petrol and diesel. They also stress the need for pipelines-fed stations, which would ensure consistent supply and reduce the risks associated with the truck distribution. Comparison with India, where CNG expanded from 1,200 to over 8,000 stations within a decade, shows the importance of unfeasible rollout targets, strong regulatory oversight, and heavy pipeline investment. Without similar measures, Nigeria risks falling short of its ambitions despite its vast 209 trillion cubic feet of proven gas reserves. For now, CNG offers clear economic savings for early adopters, but infrastructure gaps and pricing uncertainty continue to slow mass adoption. Success will hinge on whether the government and investors can align incentives to build a reliable nationwide network that makes CNG as accessible as petrol and diesel. Even as households and businesses brace for changes in energy costs, Nigerians are showing a different kind of resilience in the digital space. Latest figures reveal that data consumption has climbed to record high despite a drop in active subscriptions. Nigeria's telecommunications sector is at a critical crossroads. The Nigerian Communications Commission has revealed that data consumption in the country hit an all-time high of 1.1 million terabytes in July 2025. According to the Commission, the first milestone was reached in May with 1.04 million terabytes, showing how fast Nigerians are moving to higher speed networks like 4G and 5G. By July, more than half of all internet users in Nigeria were on 4G, while 5G continued to gain ground, though still at a modest 3.17%. On the other hand, 3G usage is fading fast, now making only up to 7.38% of connections. Despite the record-breaking surge in consumption, the number of active subscriptions is actually falling. Nigerians are still adjusting to the 50% hike in data tariffs, which has forced many to cut down on subscriptions or drop extra SIM cards altogether. Total internet subscription dropped to 138.7 million in July from 141.1 million in June. Mobile operators who dominate the market bore the brunt of these losses. Airtel alone lost 2.4 million active lines in just 1 month, while MTN and Globalcom also recorded declines. Despite this, MTN still leads with over half of the market shares, while Airtel holds a third. Rise in data consumption is boosting revenues for telecommunication operators, but it also comes with a cost. As more Nigerians migrate to 4G and 5G, demand on network is surging beyond what current infrastructure can handle. Operators are under increasing pressures to invest more base stations, expand fiber optic coverage, and secure spectrum to prevent congestion. With the recent 50% hike in prices, many Nigerians are reducing their internet speed, leading to fewer active subscriptions despite record-breaking consumptions. And that's the core challenge. Connectivity is growing, but affordability is shrinking. If prices remain high, Nigeria risks widening its digital divide, where urban elites enjoy 5G speeds while millions of others struggle to stay connected. For businesses, particularly in fintech, e-commerce, and digital services, the stakes are even much more higher. Their survival depends on widespread, affordable internet access. A shrinking subscriber base brings a smaller pool of active customers, even if overall data traffic is growing. For operators, the question is how to strike a balance. They can't rely on higher tariffs alone, so they must accelerate 5G rollout, expand 4G coverage, and at the same time find innovative ways to make data affordable while still profitable. Nigerians are consuming more data than before, but subscription losses and higher tariffs are reshaping the market. The future of connectivity will depend on whether operators, regulators, and policymakers can find the right balance between expanding capacity and keeping the services within the reach of average Nigerians. Beyond trade, energy, and digital access, a deeper concern looms: food security. The All Farmer Association of Nigeria is urging the government to step up policies that can help smallholder farmers overcome insecurity, climate pressures, and rising costs. The All Farmers Association of Nigeria has warned that the nation's food system is under severe strain, with insecurity, inflation, and climate change threatening to deepen food insecurity. According to the association national president Kabir Kebram, farmers in Nigeria's major food processing regions face persistent security challenges that discourage cultivation and reduce output. In areas once regarded as the country's food basket, banditry and rural violence have forced many farmers off their lands, directly cutting supply. Inflation, largely triggered by fuel subsidy removal and Naira depreciation, has worsened the crisis by weakening purchasing power. Farmers struggle to afford inputs like fertilizers, seeds, and mechanized equipment, while consumers are increasingly priced out of basic staples. Kebran also highlighted the effect of climate change, which has disrupted rainfall patterns and increased the frequency of floods and droughts. These environmental shocks are further undermining productivity at a time when Nigeria's population is expanding rapidly. Currently, an estimated 31.8 million Nigerians are living with acute food insecurity, according to the recent reports. This places Nigerians among the most food insecure nations globally, with a significant portion of the population unable to consistently access nutritious food. Kebran stressed that Nigerians' pathway out of crisis depends on consistent policy implementation and stronger economic management. He emphasized the need to stabilize the currency, expand credit access and subsidies for smallholder farmers, and promote climate-smart agricultural practices as key strategies for boosting production. The association argues that the solution lies not in government directly running farms, but in creating an enabling environment where smallholder farmers can thrive. With proper implementation of agricultural policy, Nigeria could transform towards mechanization and agribusiness, opening opportunities for both large-scale production and food processing. A growing agribusiness sector, Kebran added, could also absorb displaced smallholder farmers, creating wealth and job creation across the value chain. The warning underscores the urgency for Nigeria to align short-term relief measures with long-term reforms. Without swift action, experts fear food prices will keep rising, deepening hunger and widening inequality across the country. While the agricultural sector continues to grapple with food security concerns, attention is also shifting to Nigeria's foreign exchange market. Forex traders says one of the factors behind the recent exchange rate stability is the growing acceptance of Naira by Chinese traders instead of dollars for transactions with Nigeria. The recent stability in Nigeria's foreign exchange market is being attributed to a mix of factors, particularly the currency swap agreement with China and the growing influence of peer-to-peer or P2P forex trading. Under the currency swap deal, which was first signed in 2018, Chinese traders began accepting Naira directly in exchange for yuan, reducing the heavy dependence on the dollar. The agreement, worth up to $2.5 billion, was designed to allow businesses in both countries to trade directly in their local currencies. Nigeria has reportedly renewed the currency swap deal with $2 billion with China in a bid to strengthen bilateral trade and investment between both countries. Forex traders say this arrangement has eased pressures on the Naira, particularly for importers dealing directly with Chinese partners. The president of the Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria, Aminu Gwadebe, noted that Nigerians trading with China no longer need to first source scarce dollars. Instead, they can settle transactions directly in yuan, which provides liquidity and reduces unnecessary conversions. Alongside the swap, peer-to-peer platforms are also influencing currency stability. P2P exchanges allow individuals to trade currencies directly with one another online, bypassing intermediaries such as banks or traditional forex services. These models offer cost-saving speeds. While the swap agreement reduces dollar demand, its practical impact is still limited. Some Nigerian traders continue to prefer the US dollars because of its global acceptance. Even Chinese suppliers sometimes insist on being paid in dollars, which dilutes the full effect of yuan to Naira settlements. Analysts also point out that the yuan is not as liquid as other currencies in Nigerian street markets, making it less practical for everyday transactions like school fees, remittance, or medical bills abroad. As one trader explained, while the swap deal supports trade with China, it does little to solve dollar shortage for global transactions outside the corridor. The broader picture is that Nigeria's currency swap with China is a strategic step towards diversifying trade settlements and reducing reliance on dollar. It strengthens bilateral trade agreements, helps protect reserves, and injects liquidity into the forex market. Yet the structural dominance of the dollar in international trade and local preference for it continue to limit the full potential of this policy. While Nigeria's exchange rate reforms and trade pacts are gradually reshaping the market, the road to lasting currency stability require deeper reforms, stronger enforcement, and broader adoption of alternative currency in global transactions. From foreign exchange reforms to energy pricing, digital consumption, and the urgent call to secure our food supply, these stories highlight many fronts shaping Nigeria's economic journey.